Welcome to a sunny but cold day at Buckmore Park for the first round of the 2022 Club 100 SP60, the Sprint 60 Championship, where we have two races of 30 minutes to find out where we end up at the end of the day. Now this is my first year doing Sprint 60. Last year we did the Club 100 Experience Championship, if any of you watched the Let's Try This Again series of videos, and we've ended up back at Buckmore Park for the first round of this one, having been there to finish off the season for 2021. So hopefully a track that we're in reasonably good form and good memory of, but we don't get a particularly good start in this one. Not only do we live big gap, but we also get loaded up into the first corner, probably because we ended up not getting a great pull off that line, and sent around, drop back to the back of the pack. Last, more than likely, there may have been one extra person behind us, but definitely towards the back of the field. So we've got all to do now to try and get back to a favourable position, because wherever we finish this race is where we will start race number 2. Points given for both races, but your finishing position for race 1 is your starting position for race 2. So we want to try and get as far through this field now that we've been sent to the back of, to try and get a good chance of a result at the end of the day. So caught up to the back of the pack by the time we've got about halfway, 3/4 of the way around the lap, and we're starting to try and work out the quickest way through this traffic. We qualified 11th for this race, so we know we're quicker than the traffic at the back here, but obviously with everyone fighting for positions and trying to make their own way through, we need to try and find our own quickest way through. And very indecisive there. We've got a spinner, couldn't work out whether to go inside, outside, decided to go safer around the outside of it, and at least we didn't get caught up in it. That's the main thing. Now for us, my thinking here is, as frustrating as it was to be sent to the back of the pack at the start of the race, now it's just a case of how can I make the moves quickly, efficiently. Not like that wasn't a very committed move going down to the paddock corner. And the last thing we really want to be doing is taking longer than necessary to try and make moves out the back of this field. Because the longer it takes, the more likely it is that the karts that we want to be racing with in the sort of front half of this race will have gapped us, and we'll have no way of really catching back up with them. So making another move down at the bottom of the hill, and now we've got a bit of a gap already. The field is starting to spread out to the karts in front, but we eventually break that down and find ourselves on the back here of driving the back helmet, going up through Cafe over the start finish line, and we get a slightly better run than them going into the first corner, and we pull that move off up another place with another gap to break down. Good drive coming off the first hairpin. Possibility of the move was there, but eventually it was actually made for us. So driver in front making a little bit of mistake, which allowed us to sneak up the inside there, which again helps us get through, trying to catch up onto the back of the next group of drivers. Now situations like this, always a little bit nervous, because we've got sort of a group of 3 karts, or sort of 2 and then another kart in front, where obviously they're battling with each other, and we want to try and get past both of them as quickly as we can. So first one there takes a little bit of a compromise line going into the first corner, so we're able to get that driver going through the second part of the first 2 corners, or first corner, depending on how you look at it, whether it's 1 or 2, or sort of a double apex first corner. And then going through the S's back down the hill, trying to see if we could potentially pull off a move going to the bottom of the hill. Driver in front gets a little bit sideways there, affects their ability to carry their speed, carry their momentum, and that gives us the opportunity to throw it down the inside of paddock, covering it off to the inside just to make sure that we can keep that position and not have to worry about attack from behind slowing us down and affecting our progress through the field. Driver in front a little bit wide there. Going to the second part, you want to try and keep it nice and close to that second apex, otherwise you're just making the corner longer than it needs to be, and then leaving the space open for the inside of hairpin 2, putting it down the inside, and that's another position back for us, working through this field at the moment, trying to make sure it's as efficient as possible. And we're eventually getting up on some slightly bigger groups of karts again, that space was left for us going down into hairpin 2. Quite a simple move there. If the kart in front takes a normal racing line and we're able to carry a little bit more momentum than them going to the first hairpin, it's quite simple to throw your kart up the inside there and make a assertive but fair move going into the second hairpin. Now as we come through hairpin 1, 2 karts going very wide there, and we end up being forced all the way over to the right hand side. So we gained one position there, could have potentially gained another, but had our own line compromised, and so we'll just have to be happy with the one for now, as we see our competitor there throwing it up the inside of the kart in front, able to make it stick going through the S's. Can we follow him through there? No, we can't quite, but that does mean that the driver in the red suit in front of us is now in our clutches that we can possibly try and make a move on. So if we skip forward on to the next lap, we've got even more drama going through that first hairpin, able to get up the inside of 1, tried to make it up the inside of 2, a little bit of bump in, but nothing that slowed us both down or compromised either of us too much, so allow him to go back in front to try again at another corner. But we're still progressing through the field here, still trying to give ourselves the best possible opportunity for the next race. And driver in front goes for a big move down the inside of paddock corner, gets down the inside of 1, forces the driver in front of them wide, and we end up picking up all 3. So it's always nice there where you have an overtaking move done for you effectively, but even nicer when you end up getting in 3 positions out of it rather than just 1. And speaking of 3 positions here, driver in front I think got caught out on the brakes a little bit there, and ends up going around, giving us another 3 position, plus the kart that was stranded on the outside of the corner. So 2 positions there, go through hairpin 2 for us. Now, confession time from me. No engine sounds for pretty much the rest of this video, which is annoying because I quite like putting the sound of the engine behind it. Gives it a little bit more context as to what's happening on circuit. But I could try and blame it on the GoPro and say that somehow it had stopped recording sound, but it was more so the fact that in editing the video and clipping it down, I managed to unlink all the clips, and so none of the engine sounds after I did all the clipping down match what was on the screen. So rather than do that all again, which I don't have time for really in the start of it, I thought we'd put a bit of music in the background. So we've gone from sort of kart racing to chill out karting now, but we can still have a look at progressing through the field as we make our way to the end of race 1, which is exactly the point we're at now. We're finishing off this last lap from race 1. We managed to get our way back through a fair chunk of the field, obviously not quite the result that we would have wanted having qualified P11, but damage limitation, having had the contact and spin at the first corner. So here's the grid for race number 2, as we said, based off the finishing positions for race 1, and there we are on row 8. Even side of the grid this time, having qualified P16 for race 2. Ready to get it going and see if we can get our way any further, possibly looking to try and get a top 10 for this race. So coming through the cut through here, don't do the whole circuit on the rolling up lap at Buckmore Park, take the cut through and then getting ourselves into the tram lines, ready to get ourselves off and running for race 2. So again, still not a great start for this one, losing the bumper of the driver in front, and that opens ourselves up for possible loss of places due to the other side of the grid getting a better start, or drivers behind trying to give us a bit of a move on and getting loaded up. But we managed to keep ourselves pointing in the right direction this time, and as we come through the S's, it's getting sort of 2-3 wide at one point, but we managed to sort of snake our way through, keep ourselves pointing in the right direction, and again we're looking at trying to bring ourselves through the pack as far as we can, as quickly as we can. Now, the format for the Sprint 60 with the 30-minute races is obviously you still want to try and get yourself forward as quickly as you can, but you can kind of afford to let yourself settle into the race a little bit more, especially compared to how you might approach a sprint race of kind of like a 7-12 minute sprint race, where obviously in those, it's very much about being as assertive as physically possible, while still being fair to your other racers. Whereas here, you don't want the pack in front to completely disappear from you, but it's more about finishing the race in the most efficient way that you possibly can. So I had a look there at possibly following the driver through there in your Cincinnati Bengals helmet, and couldn't quite make it work that time, so we're going to have to try and make the move ourselves as we come up through Cafe and over the start line to start a new lap of Buckmore Park. So we've had a chance to side up and move for a lap or so now, and we're thinking possibly hairpin 1, have a look, not quite there, but hairpin 2 was also a possibility. So as the driver in front goes all the way over to the right, take the racing line, we keep it over to the left and put it up the inside for hairpin 2. Nice secure move and another position gained as we look to try and chase down the driver in front. Nice little Scottish helmet design there, and again as they go over to the right hand side we just keep it to the left, put it up the inside and look to continue onward, chasing down the slight gap that's developed now to the driver in front, see if we can break it down and move ourselves along. Now going into the first hairpin there, make a mistake, outbrake ourselves, and we end up losing 2 positions. So again, not getting too frustrated from it. It's annoying, but mistakes happen, and it's more a case now of going, okay, well, let's see what we can do. Let's see if we can make these places back. We've got Stephen Westwood there in front of us with nice grey and white and gold helmet design. Makes a move up the inside there. A little bit of contact which slows them both down, allows us to get up onto the bumper, make one of those positions up for ourselves, and now seeing if we can either get past Stephen or possibly work together with him to try and chase this gap down. But by here we decided that, you know what, I think we're quicker, let's make the move in front, and I'll have a go this time at leading us and see if I can pull us along to try and break down the gap in front. But from that point there, nothing really happened in the race. There was a really big old gap that we tried to break down, and whilst trying to break it down we were making some headway. It had sort of made itself too big at that point and we were locked into where we were. So going through the last lap now, able to nick up the inside there, going down the hill, little switchback move there on some slower traffic, but kept the move nice and clean, and coming up towards the finish line to finish race number 2 of the first round of the SP60 Championship in P10, which means that partnered with our P16 result from race 1, we ended up 12th overall for this first race. So possibly, had we had a slightly better round 1, or race 1 rather, could have possibly been in that top 10, which I think will be the goal for next time out at Wilson Mill. So until next time, thank you very much for watching, hope you enjoyed, and as always, have a good one.